Welcome to my channel. My name is Jenny Penton, founder of Planner Perfect, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about health and how I stay healthy at age 51. Let's talk about it. Welcome back, you guys. I am eager to do this. I've been wanting to talk about this for a long time. I want to share about just a little bit about my health journey and talk about what I'm implementing to reverse disease and, from decades of abuse and just living my best well life. The more I study the scriptures and understand the human body, the body was definitely designed to heal. Everything that we have done to our bodies to, if we have problems within our bodies, it's just something that you got to really reverse engineer. And usually, you can find that it can come from the environment, from our if there's toxic thinking, and from what we're eating. So, man, I have come a long way since my teenage years, let me tell you. And I'm just ready to wise up and eat the way God designed us to eat, to minimize the all the pollutants and the toxins that are in our everyday life, especially just in modern society now. It is really rough, and so you really have to be on top of it and not act like it doesn't affect you, because it does. And also be cautious of your thoughts. And then, so really you really have to really be very intentional and of all of those facets of your life. Okay, so I have been writing down and changing my life in a lot of different ways over the past, oh gosh, it seems like years. I've been trying to unfold how to heal, take care of my body, and only until 2023 really have I been able to get some traction. It's pretty difficult, especially when you're going to just regular doctors. You just really bump up to dead end streets a lot of times, and I was so tired of it. First, what I want to do is talk about some of the things that I am dealing with, and how I am changing some things so that, so my body can just slowly heal. And that is, I have tinnitus and I have uveitis. I have those two things. I also have kind of a sluggish thyroid. And of such, again, I'm 51, I have 8 kids, and I just really did not, I don't even think I took a multivitamin when I was pregnant. I just, of course I baked and cooked well. We took care of ourselves, and I took care of my family in the best way that I knew how. But, there was just a lot going on, and I didn't even know, things you just don't know. And so when you know more, when you know better, you do better. So these are the different things that I'm applying, and I'm just going to really dive in because there's a lot of them. And what I did is I would write down all of the things that I wanted to change, and then I really investigated why I was doing them. So just like with the planning method of mine with scripting, you need to know your why. And when you know your why, the motivation is there to do it. If you don't know your why, you won't do it, and you'll easily fall back into your old habits. So how I've been doing mine, I'm in Hazel A5. Hazel will be coming in this spring. I've been getting a lot of inquiries about it. A lot of our A5s are, as well as we have some new colors coming, so stay tuned for that. So what I've been doing is keeping all of what I'm doing and how I'm making and implementing these changes in my journal that come in the sub box. So that's what I've been doing with mine. So I'm going to be kind of leading off of that. So some of the things that I have been changing, and this has been a slow, steady pace since gosh, it's probably been since last summer in 2022 where I started to put change. But I would vacillate, go back and forth, and see, you know, maybe I could do this, maybe I can't. So I just really been experimenting with myself. So I'm going to share with you what I've done. So the first thing I've done is I've taken out wheat. So I did find out that I have a gluten sensitivity. And so that explained a lot. And you know, gluten sensitivity really comes from, I actually have the DNA. They took a DNA test. I got extensive blood work done. I did find a functional medicine doctor, after going to an ENT saying, you know, listen, you're gonna be stuck with this for the rest of your life, which no one wants that death sentence, okay, of tinnitus, never. And I even have, with my children, I have health issues. And so I've really always been, I will not stop until I find out how to get out of my body's way, take out what, you know, trying to listen to my body, take out what it doesn't want so it can heal, so it can regenerate and heal. So the wheat was a big one, and I have DNA markers to be, you know, gluten sensitive. So it means that my children have it too. So I began to take that out, and I'm also grain free. So we were doing more paleo, and the more I get into it, the more I decided that I was going to lean more towards plant-based, as again, with having occasional, you know, grass-fed meat and, you know, pastured chicken. So, and that includes, you know, some eggs. And now for especially my children, I do give them, we have grass-fed beef and some, you know, eggs and all of that. But for me, I am going more plant-based. I've been leaning towards that. I've done that before. I'm going toward it again. And I feel really good. I feel really, really good. So I am just eating amazing, real food, basically. I'm eating whole foods. And so it's been a game changer. It's been a really big game changer going that route. Now, I've done a lot of eliminations diets. I've done carnivore, which really proved to be detrimental to me. When I went carnivore, that's actually when vertigo began for me. So my main focus is being more alkaline in my body than acidic. And so I really was beginning to take away things that produced more of an acid pH in my body. And so that's why meat is more acid, whereas vegetables and fruit are more alkaline. And so I've just been really going more towards an alkaline type of diet, which really lends itself beautifully with plant-based. I also took out coffee because of its acidic nature. Also, I didn't want to stimulate my cortisol levels and deplete my adrenals, which they're sluggish too, according to my blood work. I was seeing Dr. Peter Osborne, who I found him on YouTube, and he's a gluten-free guy. But he did some extensive tests on me. He did a telehealth call, and it revealed a lot. I mean, it just did. It revealed a lot. So it was very, very helpful for me to get that done. And like for me, I mean, I didn't really notice what bread was doing to me. Like I never would have really suspected that. I didn't really know. I also was experiencing numb hands and feet. That scared me a little bit. I was like, what the heck? And so that also can be a gluten problem. Ever since I took it out, I don't have it. I would bring bread back in and it would come back. So I know that that's what was causing that. I was like, well, I'm going to try bringing bread back in. Even my heritage, I'll bring in like ancient grain flour. I was just using that kind of flour and I was eating that, and my neuropathy came back. So, back off of it I went, and that experiment just really went to show the damage that it's doing, that my body really it's not liking it. Not right now anyway. And maybe after there's healing done and regeneration, I can bring it back minimally, but that is to be determined, and I don't know. Right now, I don't really feel like it, and I don't want to. So I did take out that caffeine. Now, the coffee was huge. I'm going to share with you really quick all the things I took out, and then I'm going to go back and show you the benefits of why I'm doing it and my why more in detail. So, but with the coffee, I did it, man, it took me a full 7 days to get past staring at a wall and having migraines. It was, the lack of energy surpasses everything I've ever felt. I mean, I've done this twice now where I've gotten rid of coffee, and I literally can't believe I couldn't even move. I had muscle. I had like the flu. It was insanity. It was insanity. And it definitely makes you like, I mean, it's like, I won't touch the stuff. It's like, if I were to, and I don't even want to, but like, because I just don't want to ever be addicted to something for my energy. I want it to have this energy for me. And then I did try like my Keon brand, which is a really good mold-free, organic, and then they do water processing to make it decaf. I tried a decaf, and I pressed the coffee bean, I ground it, and I pressed it. And I just was like, I love the smell, but when I had it, it just lost its, I was like, I'm not interested. I wake up now and I go straight to what my new routine is, and I never have coffee. I haven't for a little over a month now. And I feel great, and I never have a slump in the middle of the day. Never. I have energy steady all day till it's time for bed. So I also am being very, very careful about EMF damage. So the electromagnetic field type of damage stuff, such as, AirPods, Apple Watch, it's everywhere. But so I'm going to talk to you more about what I've done to eliminate my exposure here in a second. I also have been doing grounding, which is where you are, here in Nebraska. If anything makes me want to move from Nebraska, is the weather, okay? And but the wind has been atrocious, and it's been very, very cold. We've had little bits of nice weather, and then it just hits cold again. But it's where you walk on your ground again, and you just walk on the ground, and you get your bare feet on the ground. I'm going to talk about the benefits of that in a minute. Also, getting outside in the morning to really be out with the morning sun, and just like when you're watching the sunrise, it's kind of like that. It's kind of hard because it's still very cold here. Like, I'm telling you, it was 30 degrees this morning. I'm like, yeah, no, I can't. I literally can't. I'm not going out there to look at the sunrise. It's just not even fun. So, or I can't even do it for medicinal reasons. It was just too cold. But I know that time is near when I'm going to be able to really soak that up. And I did get to do it a couple times when we had intermittent warmer days as spring was approaching. So I've been doing that, getting out there with the sunrise to help with my circadian rhythm. We're going to talk about why that's important as well. Also, wearing no more sunglasses outside. So, like, I wear them in my car because you have that window glass anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I don't wear them when I'm outside, and that was a huge change for me because I'm such a sunglass girl that I'm like, huh? I mean, like, literally blind. Like, my kids, it's funny because they don't ever wear sunglasses. And they'll be outside and they just look like this, their eyes are bright. And it's like, hey, let's play basketball, Mom. And I'm like, I can't even see you. I mean, I'm so used to blocking the sun's rays in my eyes. Like, my eyes have never seen sun. So now I've been out there and I've been able to kind of get my eyes opened up and get it acclimated to being outside with the sun. I'm not staring at it, okay? I'm just outside with the sun out, which has been rare occasions, but I've been out there, and it's like I can finally open up my eyes from being in squint mode. Like, I literally couldn't even walk because they were so squinted. I was like, help. I mean, it was bad. Exercising 30 minutes a day. Been implementing that for my lymphatic system. So I've been doing that either on my treadmill or taking walks. We've been walking the dog as a family. So that's really been awesome to be able to do that, since it's so important for many different reasons, but mainly the lymphatic system. It helps get the lymphatic system moving. So I'm going to be talking about that as well. Cold showers in the morning. I don't know if you girls have heard that, but I've been going from my hot shower to a cold shower, and what that does to your nervous system is really awesome. So I'm going to be sharing that with you guys. And then the importance of sleeping for 8 hours. So I was one of those girls that honestly was like, you can sleep when you're dead. Okay, I have things to do and children to raise, and I just, I used to dream about going to sleep and staying asleep and having uninterrupted sleep and sleeping 8 hours. I mean, I wanted that, but it just couldn't work for me during raising my kids. And then later I just wanted to be organized and run my business. And so I was up, no matter what kind of sleep I had, I would get up at like 5 or 6, even if I went to bed late. So now I do not, and I make sure I get 8 hours, and we're going to talk about why. Reading my Bible, I'm reading through my Bible, and we're going to talk about really sowing the Word of God, because when you sow the Word of God, you reap the benefits, okay? So just like with sowing and reaping, God tells us that we need to sow His Word, and that is exactly what I've been doing, really getting it into my heart so that you can really reap a benefit 100-fold, okay? So we're going to talk about that too. I've also been detoxifying my body, and I've been with fruit. I've done a fruit fast, and I've been taking iodine. We're going to talk about the importance of iodine, and maybe you need to do a detox too, and why it's important to maybe be getting a mold test, or heavy metals test, parasite testing, gut health testing, things like that, to see where you're at, so that if you've got mysterious symptoms that doctors are just labeling you with, autoimmune or whatever, you could very well be suffering from mold, from parasites, to heavy metals. And we're going to talk about that in a little bit too, and I'm going to share with you what my blood work revealed. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to talk about neck posture and why that's so important. I had a forward head posture, so I was like this a lot. It's hard to tell from the front, but just, I was like that. And, and then I, with phones nowadays, everyone's looking down. But we're going to talk about neck posture and the importance of it, and how the vagus nerve, that function can be diminished if your posture and your neck curve is not correct. Okay, so a lot of things I have really been studying and working on for my health and for my family's health. And there's so much information out there, so much misinformation out there, so much about food alone that you literally could throw up your hands and just eat a Twinkie. I mean, because why? Who cares? I mean, because you can't even tell what's right or wrong. It's like, do I eat meat? Do I don't eat meat? Do I eat meat? Do I eat meat and vegetables, or do vegetables have oxalates? I mean, can I have nightshades, for crying out loud, or should I leave all those out? Should I fast or should I not fast? Should I do this or should the confliction is sick, quite honestly. It's just sick. And I think every single one of us is individual, and I think we each have our own individual needs that we have. And but I do love Genesis 1:29, where God does talk about how, the plants that God had, and every seed-bearing fruit and plant that He has planted for us as meat. So we know that was God's intention in the beginning. And that we're in heaven and we have our new bodies, it'll be that way again. So I know that was our beginning, and it will be our end. And we know that it is good for us, as well as all the herbs of the field, all the herbs that God has provided for us, to also use that for our health and well-being. So I just I'm going to share with you some resources that I have found, and who I'm in love listening to, and what influenced me to make some certain changes. So let's go ahead and just dive right in. Don't grab your coffee, grab some water, and let's talk about this, okay? Okay. So I think for the biggest thing for me, of where I have had no clarity, is how to eat. Quite frankly, I have flip-flopped so back and forth. And I think too, what was really, really important for me to overcome was the opinion of others. When it came to what I was eating, I had so many people that love me that would have an opinion about what I would eat. Even, I'm not even kidding, every single one of my adult children were huge in this. Especially my daughters. They were like, oh, I get it. You know what I mean? They were just, and I, you know, they're, to me, they're kids. What do they know? And I want to flick them like a gnat. It wasn't that I was listening to them. It's just that they were also part of the peanut gallery that were concerned. And I just remember it was very empowering for me one day when I was choosing to go through this fruit fast for me. I really wanted to go through this fruit fasting, and I wanted to do this for me. And I'll tell you why in a little bit, but I remember just telling that someone, you know, they're like, why are you eating that? You need to be eating this. I'm like, you know what? I choose to eat this, and I'm okay. Thank you for your concern, but this is what I am choosing to eat. So thank you. And it was empowering, and I've never went back to that. I was like, I'm done. Like, well, wait, maybe it's not good. I mean, I was just so easily swayed. So I had to really do my research, really know why I was doing something, and then I felt really grounded, and I knew that that was the best thing for me at the time. And it was just, I did it for a week, and the results were really outstanding, quite honestly. So it was pretty amazing. So with the diet and what to eat and all of that, I've just come to found that plant-based with, you know, it's more like the blue zones. I was really studying the blue zones and how they ate and what they do. And that's like Okinawa, we've got Italy over there. And they were, you know, and also too, you know, and I'm going to talk about this later too, it's at your mitochondria, which is the DNA within your cells. I've got it written down on what it is because it's kind of a little bit complex, but it's in every cell of yours, and you have your mother's DNA in you. And so what you're supposed to eat is after your mother's side. That is really your ancestry and how you should be eating. So my mom being 100% Sicilian, I'm like, delicious, it's great, okay? I'd rather, okay? So I just know that eating the Sicilian diet is, you know, Italian diet is how I should be eating. So anyway, in the blue zones, they talk about what they have the longest living people, the centenarians, and what they're eating and what they're doing and their lifestyle. And I mean, they're exercising, they're outside, so they're getting sun, and they're outside, and they're out, and they're exercising and getting oxygen in their lungs, which transports all these nutrients. And of course they are eating mainly plant-based, and they have like meat more for like celebrations or more like once in a while and things like that. So that's when they do fish, or they kill an animal that they have, and then they have the celebration or whatever, and they share it with family. And so it's one of those things where it's predominantly plants and vegetables is what they're doing. And red wine, I mean, yum. Okay, so anyway, that is, I got the Blue Zones book. I also have the Blue Zones cookbook, and I love it just because I love absorbing all of that kind of stuff. I've also been listening, this is a really great resource, Barbara O'Neill, and I think it's O'Neill. I might be getting this wrong, but I will be putting everything I'm talking about down below in the description. So you'll see everything you need that I'm talking about down there. So we've got the Blue Zones, and I found her, and she's this Christian woman who's a naturopath, and oh my gosh, her stuff is so informative. You've got to watch her on YouTube. It's amazing, seriously amazing. Sweet old lady. I think she's from Australia, and I mean, I'm telling you, she's a wealth of information, So talking about how your body is designed to heal, and you just need to make sure that you're getting everything, if you give it the right tools so that it can, that kind of a thing. I do keep the gluten out of my diet, but I don't think that will be my forever. And I do think that ancient grains are an amazing grain to be able to use. Not all the time, but some of the time. And especially, it's just wheat that has not been hybridized and sprayed. So the durum wheat that we have today has really caused great havoc on all of our health and has created quite the intolerance to it on a lot of people. So, and it doesn't just affect the GI tract. I mean, so in celiac, it can really hit that GI tract, but in some like myself, it can just create inflammation in the body and create disease. So, in terms of my eyes and even my ears, it can be really a big, huge part of the problem. And taking out the wheat and eating whole foods has been part of my solution in helping my body heal. So when I took up my coffee, like just to expound upon it a little bit more, I did that because of the fact that making sure that I have more of a balanced gut flora, because since coffee is so acidic. Now, if you're healthy and you want to have it, 1 cup a day, I don't know if it's really going to do that much harm. But for me, I just decided that I just want to just stay away from it. And I tend to if I have one, I tend to need it again come 2 o'clock. Like my body becomes dependent on it, because I did that last time. I cut it out and I only had one. And then my body was just, it was dead. Like I was like, so I'd have to have it again. But when I took it out and I don't even have one at all, then my body can last energy-wise all the way up until night. So I'm going with it because I'd rather have energy than a cup of coffee. So I've been kind of moving on to herbal teas. I have to say I'm not a tea person, but I've been doing it. And also, oh my God, Vital Farms, what? And now I'm gonna forget. Vital Proteins, okay, they have a collagen made with alkalized cocoa powder with stevia, and it's just this collagen powder, and it tastes like hot cocoa, and I have that in the morning, okay, after my iodine. We'll talk about that. It's so good. That's what I've been drinking for my hot drink, and it's like the biggest treat on this planet. I have it every day, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It has all my amino acids. I'm in love. So I took that out and I feel absolutely fantastic. Coffee increases your stress hormones. I don't want that. I'm trying to get my body to heal. I don't want to mess with my stress hormones. No. I've been, and not to mention, I'm trying to handle my stress in everyday life, not letting things, back in my 20s and my 30s, I was one of those reactors. Like I was, what'd you say? I was just immediately offended. I was one of those people that could get offended. I would have to stick up for myself. I just felt like I had to have a boxing glove on, like in my back pocket, like ready to fight. I had to work through some things, and now I'm in a much better place. I'm a different person. And that's what you need to do. You need to change the way you respond, the way you react to life. And I had to really go through a lot of different self-reflections, journaling, and wondering why I did what I did so that I could change. I had to go through a lot of forgiveness for myself and for other people. And that has really been amazing to me, because I find myself rarely stressed, rarely. And even if something is going wrong, mind you, I've been tested quite a bit, and it's amazing how my reaction is now to the other time. There's wisdom under my belt, so I'm going to give myself that too. I'm like, you know what? I've done it before. I can do it again. With God's help this time. And now I'm sure to win. So I don't keep going around this Mount Sinai over and over, and so now I've got a different perspective, which changes the way I react, and it's been mind-blowing and a huge change in my life. So you know, when you begin to get tinnitus and you have inflammation in your eyes and things like that, it's from stress and just the way you've been handling life and how you're eating and what you're doing and the toxins you've been exposed to. And so it's those kind of changes. So I took that out. I didn't want that insulin, and also it increases insulin and inflammation. So no spank you. I'm not doing it. So also habituation to coffee decreases insulin sensitivity, making it hard for your cells to respond appropriately to blood sugar. So I can easily get addicted, and I think that's my deal. I get addicted to it, and before you know it, I'm at 3 a day. I'm a 3 a day cup of girl day. You know what I mean? So, and being addicted to coffee is because then your body doesn't rely on its natural energy reserves any longer. And that's just some of the reasons why I cut that out. So I've changed my diet to whole food, more plant-based, with meat still on occasion. I then have, because of its acidity, I'm being just very careful, more alkaline for me. I took out coffee, and I just told you those reasons why. Blue light blockers. I have been very, very careful now studying about the effects of what the blue light does. So I went and picked up several different kinds. It's hard to see with the light, but this is Diff, D-I-F-F, and I can leave the link down below. But they're fashionable. They're cute cute as all get out. You know what I mean? And I've got this other like black lens pair. I've got a clear pair. I mean, just whatever fits me or my outfit. I'm just like, hey, hi. But anyway, I love these. I use these, and let's go ahead and talk about why you should be getting some blue light blockers. And that is because, number one, it does reduce eye fatigue. It helps prevent headaches and blurred vision. But also, too, the big Q, it can prevent macular degeneration. Hello. And too much blue light in the day has a serious effect on your circadian rhythm. And that was one of the first reasons why I wanted to do it, because sleep is so valuable and important for regeneration of your body and to heal, that you don't want to jack around. Now, I always had a problem with staying asleep. So like once I'd get to sleep, I'd wake up at 2, like it was morning. I'm like, wow, you know, and I had like for hours after that, I would have a hard time getting back to sleep. And so that's the time that your body needs to heal. And so being up like that is just no good. And so I really wanted to work with my circadian rhythm. And one of those ways was making sure that when I am on my phone, when I'm at my computer doing work, when I'm even in my house with these dang LED lights that we have going on now, and everyone's lights and everything, you know, with your light bulbs and all of that, those also are emitting a blue light. So like your house, that's why all the more reason just be outside. Even if I'm out and I'm in a store, I'll put them on. So I'm just, you know, and of course you don't wear them outside. So I'm just very, very, even watching TV, I wear them. And so I have been, by slowly and completely stopping the production of melatonin. So it can have an effect on your circadian rhythm, and that because it'll stop the production of melatonin, the chemical in your brain that tells you it's time for sleep. So that makes so much sense. And I can tell you firsthand, I've only had them for about 2 weeks, and my sleep is great. Now I've had good sleep, and I'm going to share with you why my sleep actually began being dynamic. And I am not being dramatic. I mean, I didn't even know I had insomnia until I did it. You know, I thought waking up in the middle of the night was normal. But no, I have been lacked of sleep for a long time. So blue blockers, I recommend you get some really good ones, and make sure that you're wearing them. So even in the morning, don't grab your phone first thing, don't do that. And if you do, make sure you put these on. What you should be doing is going out and seeing the sun first outside before you look at your phone, because you want to get your eyes, and we're going to talk about that, but where you want to get your eyes outside seeing the natural light to set the tone for the day. We're going to talk about it, some really fascinating studies on this, and it's really, really amazing. So yeah, save your phone till later, okay? Save your phone till later. So the electromagnetic fields, the EMFs, I've been dramatically changing that. I was hooked on AirPods. I knew that they were bad. My mom, she would just she's like, Jenny, you know, slap my wrist all the time. She's like, get those things out of your ears, you know, don't put them on. I was like, oh, Mom, you know, my dad always makes fun of her. He's like, Jenny, you won't believe this. I have a whole wheat bed. I'm like, whole wheat? He's like, he calls everything what my mom does is whole wheat. But she's very, 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 very into all of that I'm talking about. I'm even more extreme than her now, believe it or not, but she's always lived, I mean, we grew up without microwaves. We only ate whole foods. Growing up, I didn't even know what a Twinkie was till I was, and it was funny, I saw kids with them, but I really didn't know what they were. But I mean, I didn't even try one till I was like 17, 18, something like that for the first time. But I mean, my mom just never had them. And I just didn't have a taste for anything like that. So my mom was always into that kind of stuff, and no microwaves, and always tell me with my phone, don't hold it on my person, you know, don't do that. So no more AirPods. So I began to get away from the AirPods because that's a great way for me to listen to my favorite podcasts or YouTubers and, you know, fold laundry. But now I use the ones with wires, which, I mean, it's not very fun. It gets hooked on everything. So now I put it through my shirt, but I get hooked on stuff. And like, I'm not gonna lie, I have cussed several times. I'm just like, you know what? I'm sick of you, all right? And your stupid wires. I mean, I'm telling you, you get so, I mean, I love them. I love the AirPods. But the wireless ones, they're amazing. But, you know, wires it is when I get that desperate point. And then what I'll do too is just put it on the bed and just play it, what I'm gonna play while I fold laundry or whatever. And so, because those wired ones, unless you're sitting down, they're a pain in the arse, and I'm not even kidding. But you got to do it. No more Apple Watch. I was wearing the Apple Watch. I mean, if I feel like I need to, maybe to gauge my exercise once in a while, cool. But for right now, I've really had an abstinence from that, and I've really liked it. Tanning beds have EMFs, too much sun is like that as well. Microwaves, television, cell phones. You just want to be aware and really, really careful and reduce your exposure. So some of the ways that I have done that is to, again, go to wireless earbuds, making sure that my phone is not on my body, which sometimes I'll put it in my pocket. So now I don't do that anymore. I'm very cautious and don't use microwaves very much. And television, we do watch that at night sometimes, but I've really done very well, I feel, in just getting those out of my ears, because that was the biggest one for me. And constantly wearing an Apple Watch. I didn't even think anything of it until now. Grounding benefits. Okay, that's when you're really going barefoot and you're walking outside. Sounds hokey, but it's not. It has a lot of really great benefits. Improves your sleep, believe it or not. It normalizes the day-night cortisol rhythm, reduces pain, reduces stress. Now, like for me, when I had my blood test done of everything, my cortisol was low in the morning. So I had a hard time having so my circadian rhythm was off, because you're supposed to have more of starts at 4 in the morning and it starts to go higher and higher and higher, your cortisol, so that it can wake you up, and then it kind of goes up highest in the morning and then goes down till nighttime again, right? Well, mine was still pretty sluggish, so I've got a sluggish cortisol in the morning, and so it's like I don't feel very refreshed when I wake up and all of that. Now, this was in the summer when I had that, and I'd have to say, after making some changes with how I sleep and some of my supplements, I feel brand new, really do. I really, really do. I feel really good. So it shifts the autonomic nervous system from sympathetic toward parasympathetic activation, increases heart variability, speed wound healing, and reduce blood viscosity. What is the sympathetic and parasympathetic? The sympathetic system controls the fight or flight. Okay, we've heard about that. And the system, this system produces the body, it prepares the body for strenuous activity. Okay, then you have the parasympathetic system, which regulates the rest and digest functions. So the grounding, And this is why I ground and why I do it. And you need to do it 20 to 30 minutes a day. So I've been doing that. I just take off my shoes. If I'm outside, if I'm with the dog, I'm with my boys, I just take off my shoes really quick, and I just go out there and I'm running around with the dog with my bare feet and with the boys throwing a frisbee. And even with the jacket on, with the winds in Nebraska, I've been doing it. Okay, I've been doing it. So morning sun routine and why it's important to see the sun, what the sun does, and why it's important for your circadian rhythm and your health. Okay, all these things we just, when we don't know, you know, my people die for the lack of knowledge. That's what Jesus said. You've got to know these things so that you can live by God's natural laws that he provided for us. Oh my gosh, so thirsty. So our biology is to rise early, okay? So you want to get your 8 hours. So you could go to bed at 10, wake up at 6, or you could even go to bed at 9, wake up at 5, whatever you want to do. But all of us have a circadian rhythm, our internal clock that tells our body when it should be awake and when it should be sleeping. So it's like our body clock, okay? That's what the circadian rhythm is. It's our body clock. So our circadian rhythm is affected by a number of factors, but the main one is that it's affected by our light environment. That's really how we establish our circadian rhythm. So when it is dark out, our eyes signal the brains that it's to feel tired, and our body then releases melatonin, which is a chemical that is released to make our body tired. Morning light sets off a cascade of hormones that make you feel good. Morning sun is incredibly important because of it's saturated in infrared and blue light. There is no UV light first thing in the morning, neither UVA or UVB. I did not know that, and I just think that's pretty fascinating. So it's just so important to get out there in that really early morning sun. It really gets your hormones going, makes you feel good. It sets your morning right. So add this to your devotional morning routine, girls. Sunlight is 42% infrared light. It's important. It stimulates collagen. It increases bone healing and heals wounds, and it's anti-aging, and it reduces wrinkles. Hello. And scars. Sunlight changes your body and creates energy. So the sunrise sun is the sun we need, and it also it preconditions our skin and protects us from the UVA and UVB. I mean, how fabulous is that? Rise early and spend at least 3 minutes exposed to the early sun. Okay, now the blue light that falls out of the sky and the blue light on your screens or LED energy light bulbs are completely different. Blue light in nature is always balanced by regenerative red light and other wavelengths. Okay, so the one that's on our screens is completely different. That's why we need to protect ourselves from that light, because it confuses the body. UVA comes later in the morning. It increases your energy, your memory, and it is anti-aging. UVA triggers production of serotonin and dopamine and releases endorphins along with small opiate effect. I was like, I always knew I love the sun. UVB pops out around noon, and this is when you can get vitamin D. So you can also get these apps on your phone that it'll tell you, and you put in where you live, and it'll tell you the best time to run outside and get a good amount of sun with as much, skin showing. So what you should do is that you see the sunrise about an hour, grab some UVA, and then later grab your UVB to make D, the amazing sun. That's all about our amazing sun in a nutshell. So the mitochondria. Let's talk about that for just a little bit because of what it does for your body. Those are mitochondria, small structures in a cell that are found in the cytoplasm fluid that surrounds the cell nucleus. And the mitochondria make most of the energy for the cell and have their own genetic material. So they are the energy factory. for our body. And this job process is to process oxygen and to convert substances from the foods we eat into energy. So the mitochondria produces 90% of the energy our body needs to function. So that's, the mitochondria is pretty important, and you want to make sure that you're caring for the mitochondria and what we do and every day, from what we eat to the environment to the way we think affects our mitochondria. Okay, so we need to be very, very careful. This is why we're changing our lives. Okay, girls. So what is harmful to the mitochondria is processed flours, all sugars, refined sweeteners, trans fats, which is it like in milk and meat, and also seed oils, gluten and dairy. So examples of trans fats, I really had to, I wanted to look that up and write it all down, but frozen pizza, okay? Microwave popcorn, I've always known that. My mom never allowed microwave popcorn, and I used to be like, why? Okay, so I didn't know why. My mom knew why, but I didn't know why. So I would always get it for my kids back in when I was 20, my little ones. And now I know why. I mean, I wouldn't let my kids touch that with a 10-foot pole these days. All commercial baked goods, of course, so I always made my own, but I did know that it was bad for you because just of all the ingredients you couldn't read. But if you think, I mean, it has trans fats, which ruins your mitochondria, okay? Margarine, I've never bought margarine a day in my life. We grew up just on butter, so I knew better for that. And non-dairy creamer, that's another one for trans fats. So you've got to take care of your mitochondria. We talked about too how something that's very useful tip is that your mitochondria, the DNA within that, comes from your mother and your mother only, and how you are to eat ancestral wise will come from your mother's side and your mom. Okay, so I have very clear data since my mom's 100%, so that's easy for me. And so but just go back, keep going back and finding out what her side is, and voila, you'll know what the best diet is for your body in terms of, differences in whole foods. You know what I'm saying? Not like, well, they love their ice cream. It's not like that. It's just what the ancestors really did eat in terms of whole foods, more or less of. So, unlike my mom with red wine, I mean, she's so funny because she was like fixing her Hashimoto's that she had, and she actually was able to completely get rid of it. And she's like, but I never took out my red wine, Jenny. You know what? I'm Italian and I refuse. And so she healed it while drinking red wine. Okay, so anyway, that's neither here nor there, just hilarious. So exercise, why I got back into exercising for a little while. I got out of it. I came back to it. Again, knowing my why and what I needed to do and why I needed to do it. And I am very busy in the house, but I really feel that just really getting out and getting some good oxygen through the lungs and moving even faster by taking a good walk and going up hills is ideal for me. And it's because of the lymphatic system, which helps remove waste and toxins from your body. It gets things moving. So one of the other things and symptoms of me that I've always had is that I don't really sweat. Like I just don't sweat. I remember I would go to Orange Theory. I was really into Orange Theory for about a year. And I mean, I would leave red, but it took one time, I remember I broke one bead of sweat, but it's very hard for me to sweat, and I would be running and rowing and weightlifting, and you're on this time watch. I don't know if you've heard of Orange Theory, but everyone else left like they just got done showering and just put their clothes immediately on. I look the same. It's weird. And I worked out hard. I did. I was working out like the rest of them. So that is not good. Okay. And that's my point. And that I need to, there's some things that I need to be working on with my body, that my body has a lymph problem where it's not able to release the toxins that are in my body. So, and this is probably a good segue to talk about that. When I had all my blood work done, I am high in heavy metals, which mercury, thallium, and uranium in particular. So those are huge. Now I had a mouthful of mercury. So I got them all removed. It was done safely with the SMART method, I guess they call it. However, my body was probably, mercury is getting leached in my body, in my system for a very long time, because my cavities, the mercury in them, they were shrinking within the tooth because I had them for such a long time. And so, you know, I'm sure I was getting it. And, you know, we also lived behind, for 15 years, we lived behind a cornfield that was constantly being sprayed. And I remember when they would spray the fields behind us, that was literally our backyard, was cornfield. And so they would come, the farmers would spray. And I remember my husband would be like, everybody in, you know, and close the windows and the doors, because you could really, really smell it. And I remember during that 15-year span, this is right before we moved, but there was about 5 of my neighbors, women, that lived up along the street of who came down with breast cancer. And I didn't put it like, I was like, okay, odd. Am I next? You know, but I just didn't really think that way. I never thought that I would get it, never suspected it. I never thought that I would ever get it. And that maybe that helped. But nonetheless, I didn't get it, but all the women up my street did. And so you've got to be very, very careful. You've got to be very, 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 very careful about where you're living, what you're exposed to. It's worth moving if you're next to one, like I was. I know that now. We wouldn't have even put up with it if we really knew the dangers back then. But the lymphatic system helps get rid of things. So it just wants to go through your skin, you know, your bowels, and your sweat, things like that. So the lymphatic system acts like a drainage system for our bodies, and it collects toxins and waste and transports them around the body for removal. The lymph system has no pump, and so we need movement in order to encourage the lymph system not to stagnate, and walking can help keep the lymph flowing. So dry brushing is one thing that I've also been implementing, which helps with also lymphatic drainage, where you really are, just like it sounds, you're taking a dry brush. I got mine off of Amazon, and you're just kind of going upward towards the middle of your body, and you're just kind of dry brushing, which helps just circulation and getting things moving in your body. I've also been doing cold showers. So, you know, I don't know if you've heard of Wim Hof, but I watched him for a while. I have his book. And I never was really into it until I needed to really be into it. Like, wait, I should be implementing this because it helps with your nervous system. And I really wanted to make sure that I was doing all that I can and all of the things, because it's never really one thing. It's always much more complicated than that on why you have something that's going on. So, you know, not only do I drink a lot of water and eat hydrating foods like fruits, but I'm doing this, EMF, I'm watching my EMFs, I'm blue lights, I'm sunrise. It's all of it, so that you can enable your body to heal. It's not just like, well, because sometimes I remember back in the day when I first started doing this, I'm like, oh, I just need to drink water. I bet you that's what it is. And I used to think that it was encapsulated in just like one thing. And I thought, oh, well, maybe it's just my thoughts. I need to work on just my thoughts. No, it's all of it. You need to work on your thoughts, work on your spiritual life. Where are you putting your worry? Are you carrying that yoke instead of giving it to God? How are you responding to stress? How do you do that now? You need to change that. You need to renew your mind. You need to make sure that you're not exposed to the toxins. You need to watch what you're eating. You need to quit eating so much sugar and having caffeine. You're going to just burn your body out. And so it's all of the things. So that's something that I've been doing and implementing too, which I've been doing daily now for about 30 days. So one of the things that it does do is improve alertness. You get more energy, it reduces stress, it improves circulation, reduces inflammation, and you get healthier skin and hair. So that was something that I was definitely interested in, and I really wanted to do that. It also, to break that down, it does give you more energy. So, and gives you more energy for throughout the whole day. Improves circulation. So cold water causes blood vessels to constrict, which will improve blood flow and circulation in your body. And this can help deliver nutrients and oxygen to your cells more efficiently by improving your overall health. So it's really, really good. So I go from hot to cold. You can go from up to 1 to 3 minutes, and it's going to take you a little bit to build up to that. You just can't do that right away. I mean, I did 30 seconds for a week, and then I did 40 seconds for another week. And right now I'm just at a minute. So, but it took me through a whole month to get myself up to, you know, a minute, because it's painful. Like, it's like really hard to do in the beginning, especially. Like, I was starting to hyperventilate at the beginning. I was like, oh, I mean, I'm already don't like cold. So to be under a cold shower was like, this is hell in itself. This is what it is, and it's cold. Okay. But, like, I'd rather be hot than cold any day of the week. But that's also the reasons why I'm trying to stimulate and help my thyroid right now, because it is sluggish. So anyway, I had to build myself up, but the benefits are great. And I'd have to say, with everything that I'm doing, I have amazing energy. So you also have healthier skin and hair. So cold water tightens your pores and reduces inflammation, which lends to a healthier hair. Cold water helps seal in moisture to prevent dryness as well. So that's been really, really fascinating and amazing. Has been for me. So iodine supplementation, okay? So this really, I'd have to say, if I were to encapsulate one thing that really moved the needle for me, other than neck alignment, which I'm going to talk about here in a second for me, is iodine. Number one, I always knew that I was low in iodine because I had blood tests done, but the functional medicine doctor I saw never really honed in on that, and my dose he had me on was so small, I never would have seen anything from that, maybe in a year or two. But I was extremely low. I was only excreting about 45 out of the loading test I did. I was only excreting 46%, meaning I was really holding on to as much iron as I could, because I would take a bunch of iodine when I did the test, and then I would excrete my urine into this thing, and then they test it, and I was not excreting very much, meaning my body was absorbing it and taking it. So knowing that I have a low thyroid, my TSH is high, now the best thing you're going to want to do is just get tested, and you're going to want to get a full panel, optimal panel for your thyroid, not just your T3, T4, TSH. You want to get the full spectrum, the full optimal panel. And that's what you're going to want to ask for. And you're going to want to really get a functional doctor to be able to decipher it and to know. And you want to do some research even yourself to know what those numbers mean and why they are saying what they're saying. If you suspect that maybe you have a low thyroid, which I've always wondered why, I don't have hot flashes at 51. I am freezing night and day, no relief all the time. Like right now, I mean, my hands do feel like ice cubes. And the rest of my family, my sons especially, I have mainly boys here anyway, but they turn on the fans, they're warm. It's like they're freaking, I don't know, but they're just hot. I don't even get it. But I'm just like, do your guys' hands feel like ice cubes, or is it just me? I mean, I just like, I like if I touch my face right now, they're like ice cubes. Anyways, my point is that I would have that. Also, it can cause, it's not very good for tinnitus. It can cause tinnitus. Thyroid function and all of that can also be a huge reason that you can experience tinnitus, as well as your diet. So gluten can cause tinnitus. If you're gluten sensitive and you just keep pounding gluten, that can cause that. Uveitis, so an autoimmune conditions, that can be caused from eating something that you have an intolerance to. So all of these things, by stripping, removing, and aiding my body and helping, I've had an enormous change in how my ears are and how my well-being is, and I can tell that my body's on the way to recovery. And you have to be patient, because patience is what's going to win this race. But what's really great is when you can start to see the needle move, you begin to you're there for it. You're there for it. So one of the things with iodine is that I found a book by Dr. David Brownstein. I recommend reading the book. And the reasons why iodine and why I'm taking it is to replenish and maintain and to detox, because it will take and cling on to metals and transport it out of the body. So there's a picture of my foot. I posted it. It is a freaking nightmare. After I started taking iodine, the bottoms of my feet began to turn ridiculously black. They were scary, quite honestly. And then I went on a fruit fast, and to help aid it along, and it got even blacker. It was crazy, because fruit, though it also is a form of a detox fast. And so I was on all fruit for a week, and it did that. And it's been so wild of a ride, let me tell you. I actually do Lugol's iodine that I found it on Amazon, and Dr. Brownstein talks about it. And I do 10 drops in some water in the morning. That's what I take. So I always say it's iodine and Jesus in the morning. I used to say coffee and Jesus, and now it's iodine and Jesus in the morning, okay? And so it tastes like blood, okay? And I put a little bit of selenium, which they are it's like a cofactor. They work synergistically, something like that. They work together, okay? So here's the ways that iodine can save your life. It's a very, very important for your body that you have iodine. So keloids, cancer, diabetes, infections, hemorrhoids, ovarian cysts, breast disease, vaginal infections, fibrocystic breast, excess mucus production, thyroid disorders, headaches and migraines. It's an antibacterial, anti-cancer, anti-parasitic, and antiviral. Lack of iodine causes balding, depression, weight gain, low energy, constipation, poor concentration, dry and dull skin, brittle hair, nails. Did I say balding? Baldness, constipation, I already think I said that. Numbness and tingling in the hands. You're going to want to see a naturopathic doctor if you really want to have help with the iodine. Or a functional medicine doctor, though mine was giving me a very, very low dose. It wasn't until I found someone in this beat tinnitus, that I actually bought his course, and it was very informative. And one of them was to begin taking iodine, and I just began taking it. You can do a little iodine patch test, and you can actually put a little bit of liquid iodine right here on your skin, and it kind of looks a little rusty. And you can tell if your skin absorbs it, then it means that your body needs it. And if it sits on your skin if it's still on your skin within 24 hours, then it means that your body is happy with what it has. So I remember putting it on mine, and it literally soaked into my skin so fast I didn't see it. Within 30 minutes, it was completely gone. My son John in particular, I put it on his, and it was a dark, dark stain, and lasted for like 2 days. I mean, it just didn't disappear. It took a long time. So that was quite the difference, because it was crazy. And of course, my husband, it took a while for his to go. Still did diminish quicker than 24 hours, but it did take a while. Bella's was really fast like mine to go, so I know something's up. And also Blaine, which he's the one who they both have alopecia, and so I know that they have some thyroid issues, so we are already kind of getting into working with that. But if you can find a naturopathic doctor or read one, and again, that Barbara, she's got this, again, I want to say O'Neill, but I've just recently, I can't remember her last name, but it'll be down below. But she also has a book that I highly recommend that you read. Very, very informative, very amazing. So the thing is, though, is that because why you want to take more than the RDA, because if you do that, then you'll be deficient. So he recommends you take it daily. Dr. Brownstein, the book that I read. And you can get that, I do believe, on Amazon. I'm trying to think if I got that on Amazon or if I got it off of his website. I can't really remember, but either way, it's Dr. Brownstein, or you can find him on Amazon, his books. He's got many, he's got several. So sleeping 8 hours, okay? So sleeping 8 hours is very, very vital. And we kind of touched on why in just a little bit of different things, but Why We Sleep. I love that book by Why We Sleep. And I think it's by Daniel Walker. And I read the book, I read most of it. But Why We Sleep, here is just a real, I advise you guys to read it on why you need sleep. And that's why now we've been writing, when I'm writing in my planner, it's like, you sleep, Jenny, until you feel rested. So for a while, I noticed that when I first started to get really good sleep, and I'm going to share with you in a minute why I began getting really good sleep, I noticed that I was sleeping a lot longer than 8 hours. And before I would have felt bad about that, or like, oh, I can't do that. But now I'm like, I'm glad I'm doing that. And now I'm noticing that I'm starting to like rise an hour earlier, and it's right at about 8 hours naturally. Whereas it was up to like 9, I mean, not 10, but it was like 9 and a half even some nights. And I was like, wow, I mean, what the heck? But it's just part also of just your body healing and regenerating itself when you sleep, and you just, you need it. So that's when it does, the body does all of its hard work. So Why We Sleep, it's a great book. And it repairs the body when you're sleeping and regulates your weight. And it has a whole host of benefits. Now, when I was able, and I'm going to talk about my, my neck posture here, and it segues right into it. So another thing that I've begun doing was seeking my neck, that maybe my neck was causing problems with why my ear was like this. And I would have eustachian tube kind of dysfunction where, I always had to blow out my nose. It was imbalanced. I constantly felt like I was underwater, kind of like that. So when I went to Florida to seek this neck specialist. And anyways, long story short, they found out that they did a host of tests, and I have this almost like scoliosis of the neck, but it's just completely like, it's like, I forget, it goes here, here, and then here. It's just wild. But because of that, it is pinching off a lot of the vagus nerve, and it's pinching off the jugular vein. There's 2 different jugular veins. The vagus nerve also runs through the whole system, but mine is like on my left side, the jugular vein, by just looking straight out, is completely cut off, and that is our brain sewage waste vein that helps detox the brain. And so like mine is like completely cinched off, and so it has to depends completely on one other side, and so it's creating havoc. So that's why you got to work on every single element of your body. You know what I'm saying? It's like you really need to like work on all of it. And so that's what I'm doing. I went and saw him. He gave me something to lay on. He wanted to see me again. Instead of going to him again, I decided to see a NUCA specialist. So not only am I laying on this lumbar thing, it's called a Denner roll, and I lay on it, but I would lay on it all of the time. I think I've showed you sometimes on my Instagram. He advises me to lay every hour for 5 minutes, where I lift up my neck. And when I lift up my neck, when I sleep, I always have to do that too, so that my jugular vein has free flow, and so does my vagus nerve. So because of the way my neck is, so until it's repaired, I have to sleep up like this. So when I lay down, my neck is up, and that's when I begin to sleep throughout the night. It's so wild. Like I said, I didn't know I even had a problem until I didn't anymore. Like I thought it was just my life. Like that's normal. It's not normal. I sleep and dream. I used to never sleep, and I used to never dream. And now I do. And so I feel incredible. It's night and day how important sleep is, and the way your posture can impede that. And so anyway, his advice on how I also throughout the day lay down and lift up my neck so that my jugular vein has free flow, so it can help detox my brain throughout the day. I get a little bit lazy with that sometimes. Like I get really busy. It's like the last thing I want to do is go lay down, but I do it. But I've got to make sure I get back to it, because I've always felt so amazing. So I do that, and then I sleep with my neck up. So, and I'm just very cognizant of it. And if I wake up and I find, usually I always find my neck is up. And if it's not, then I make sure it goes back up. So, but I sleep through the night because of my neck posture. So it's the vagus nerve and the jugular vein. They're the 2 big ones that have been huge. And vagus nerve in Greek means traveler, because it literally travels throughout the whole body, and it sends messengers throughout the body, and it helps take readings of the gut biome. It also sends signals from the brain to the body so that it functions correctly. So if it's cinched off like mine and it's completely, over here and over here completely blocked, then it's going to cause a whole host of problems. And the brain can't send the right signals to the thyroid, to the heart, to the body, to the eyes, to the ears, and everything to function properly. So that is a big deal. So what I've been doing is I have been going to a NUCA specialist. There's one here in Omaha for me that I've been going to, where she is making gentle adjustments to my atlas, which is the C1, C2, right below the brain, the skull up here, down here. I forget what they call it. But mine's elevated, like my C2 is like up like crooked and, and yikes. And they do x-ray and you can see how my jaw is also crooked and everything's kind of crooked. So she's been slightly being able to move it, and she's been able to make some great headway. So we've been able to try to get my neck moving and adjusting with her adjustments, which are not like the normal chiropractic where they crack it. This is more like they apply pressure and they literally move the C1 and the C2 atlas so that there's the brain stem can fit in perfectly with no obstruction, and that the nerves can flow freely. And then usually what they call it is that it does retracing, and it goes back, and those veins and those important veins go through there and start communicating again and regenerating everything that is broken. And so even old wounds that you might have felt or things like that can be starting to cause you pain again. Even old emotions. It'll even cause like you could cry for no reason, you don't know why, but it'll go in there and just heal old wounds, even old emotional wounds. It is amazing how God made our bodies, 100%. So get your neck checked if you think that might be causing some problems in your health. If anything, go and try, just so that you can be doing all you can do to be your best and live your best life. And then with all of this new knowledge, you can maintain your health that God's given us. Also, reading through the Bible is just part of, for my mental health and my spiritual health and my well-being, and planting and sowing God's word. So, just like what God said, that he will not be mocked, that you sow what you reap. And you could be sowing, what are you sowing? Are you sowing a bad crop, or are you sowing a good crop? Are you sowing a good crop and digging it up? So it's important to get God's word in your heart, that you know who you are in Christ, and you know who he is, and you know who you are. And it's just really, really, really important. And I know even for our children, I just love sharing everything with them every morning. And I know my littlest one, who's 9, was crying about, oh, I sinned, and so what if I go to hell? And we just had to have this really open discussion about hell, and that God doesn't send people to hell, and that he came and died for your sins, and you are forgiven, past, present, and future, and that we ourselves are the ones who, Satan is the one who grabs us and is who is why people would be hell bound. And I would have to tell Blaine, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. And I was like, Blaine, he didn't say whoever does everything right by the book, then they can have everlasting life with him. No, he said all those who believe. And I go, and the thing is that when we fall, God's there. God's grace picks us up, and we pick ourselves up, and we do better. And every time we just get better and better and better. And I said, God used a lot of imperfect people in the Bible because, he's not looking for perfect. He's looking for imperfect, willing people. And so it was just every time you're in the Word and you can just share it with those that you love and who are willing and ready and want to hear it. But boy, when you sow that word in your heart and you know it and you can just say it and you're renewing your mind, you will reap 100-fold. So I'm also reading through the Bible in the year. I've been doing that and following a little sheet, and it's been really, really good for me. I'm also into Andrew Womack's books right now. So I'm also doing a devotional study. A Sure Foundation is my first one. And then I'm going to head into Elijah and then David. He talks about. So, other than that, girls, I'm going to wrap it up with the cleaning products. Of course, I've been really, really good in my cleaning products. I've been good for a while. Sometimes I've been lax, but now I've tightened up my grip on it. So I think the last thing I need to do is my dishwasher, but I've got my laundry detergent completely clean. I've always used fluoride-free toothpaste and I've been using Native brand for a while. Sometimes I'll use Tom's, but it's always no fluoride. Also, my deodorant is by Native, sometimes Pacifica, but my makeup, I've changed over to like Pacifica brand. I just use like a CC cream, and my skincare is Tropical Traditions. So I use coconut oil, and it's just all clean, basically coconut oil, and Tropical Traditions is a really good brand. My mom uses that. I even use it on the tips of my hair if it's dry. If I use a little bit of perfume, I make sure I put it on my clothing. So I do mainly use, not all the time, but mainly I use Treat Beauty on my lips, which is also a very clean lip balm that's tinted, and I absolutely love that. So girls, I have been making my adjustments and doing all of the things so that my body can heal. And give your body some time. Let it regenerate. You know, you took years and decades doing things wrong to it and thinking wrong and feeding it wrong and wearing your AirPods while you're doing your laundry, and it takes some time to change those habits, and I've been doing it, and I love my new way of life, and it has been nothing but amazing. My tinnitus is almost to the point where I can barely hear it. I barely have to, my eustachian tube dysfunction has diminished. My eyes feel and look more clear, though there's more work to be done, but I've just really begun. My diet, I also can't wait to share with you delicious meals that I've been eating and feeding my family with, and how I've had really great results even with my children. And I will share progresses with how I've been doing with them as well, and changing their diets and what they're doing. So, boy, I have it all in here, and my journal is where I track and do journaling. And I can't wait to share more about journaling too as well, and how you can really use that journal. Journals are fabulous, and I got all my whys in there, and I just absolutely love it. It keeps me steadfast. It keeps me steadfast. That's, you know, just like how you sow the word, it keeps you knowing and grounded in God's word and knowing who you are in Christ, so that you can go with confidence with God, going for what he wants you to do. And you know who you are. You're not wavering, you're not on the fence, and you don't blow with the wind. And that's why I think it was just so amazing. Even when it was my husband, he was asking me, like, why are you doing that? And of course he cares about me because he sees me change my diet all the time. And so he gets nervous. And I said, you know what, listen, I'm okay. I'm choosing to eat this. Okay. It's okay. This is what I'm deciding to do. And even my mom will do that too. She'll be like, what are you doing? You know, why are you doing this? I thought we talked about that. And I was like, but this is what I've decided to do. And even if I flip-flop, and even if I change here or go there, and I change my mind, and I find a new, I read something, or I feel convicted, I will change until I know, until I, it's time. And no one else can do that for you. You must allow God to speak to you, and maybe you have to change your mind a couple times before you get it right. But that just makes you someone who's willing to find answers, and you are steadfast, and you're persistent, and you believe in your body's ability to heal itself, which God has made our bodies be able to heal themselves. There's some things that we need to obey. That's why when Jesus healed, he said, sin no more. And so let's sin no more. Let's follow God's guidelines and rules. I know I am. I mean, it's like, you don't got to tell me twice. I feel like I've learned so many lessons. Like, yeah, I'm not going to let someone else create disease in me. No, thank you. I think that you can just be you, and I'm going to just forgive and let go is what I'm going to do, and not be so offended, okay? And I think I'm going to not let things affect me the way I used to, and I don't. It's like, I know God's got me, and I'm doing it with God this time. I'm not going to go and flounder around like a fish out of water like I used to do by myself, thinking I was alone, drowning and dying because my kids had issues. I would just always be so upset and stressed. Not this time. Not this time. I am fully aware that I know my God will heal my children, and it is his will that my children are healed, and I will do all that I can with God's grace to help be there to help them, their bodies get well by what I feed them and their surroundings and what they're around, so that their bodies too can heal too. Girls, that's what I got for you. It was a long one. I mean, don't wear your AirPods for this, okay? Wear your, let it get hooked on a couple doorknobs. There's no fun in wearing AirPods, right? Wear the ones with the wires so that you can get hooked up on, your doorknob or those doors to your cabinet doors. It's a load of fun. So just wear the wired headset, do your laundry, do some dishes, and I pray that this message influences you to make some changes, healthy changes, so that you can live to 100 and beyond. I love you, and as always, until next time.